How's it going, guys? And welcome to my college apartment. And while I have been at college for about a week now, there's still just not much in theaters that I feel I can really talk about for you guys. Don't fret, I will get to the movies and make a video on a new movie soon, because I can only suffer movie theater withdrawal for so long. And while I did do a spoiler for an older movie just last week, I figured now, with Star Wars The Force Awakens coming out in just 3 months now, seriously cannot wait for that. I think now would be the best time to start my first ever video series for a movie franchise. That's right, I'm going to do a video for all 6 Star Wars movies before the new one comes out this December. And I'm going to kick it off with the one that started it all, Star Wars. Yeah, I'm not calling it Episode 4 A New Hope. I'm calling it what it was when it was released. So Star Wars came out in 1977, so almost 40 years ago now. And it is without question one of the most iconic movies in the history of cinema. I remember my dad showing this and the other 2 movies in the original trilogy to me when I was around 7 years old, and all 3 movies just completely blew my mind and made Star Wars a really big part of my childhood. I watched the movies, I collected and played with all the toys, I even had a Darth Vader helmet I would wear all the time. I wonder if that's still around somewhere. Either way, I am so excited that I'm finally talking about this with you guys. So that's my official spoiler warning. If you have not seen Star Wars yet, well, it's time to crawl out of that rock you've been living under and go see it. So a setting in Star Wars revolves around its galaxy being ruled by an evil galactic empire. However, a civil war has been underway for some time now between the rebels in the galaxy who are attempting to take down the empire. And in the opening scene, we see this very small rebel ship get abducted by this giant Imperial Star Destroyer that's used by the empire. And once abducted, a huge firefight ensues between the rebels and the Empire's stormtroopers. The fight ends with many of the rebel soldiers being killed and with Darth Vader emerging from the smoke from the fight. Now I gotta touch on Darth Vader. He is one of, if not the greatest villain to ever be in a movie. He's methodical, he's cold, he's pure evil, and he is feared by everyone in the galaxy. I mean, just the way he emerges from the smoke in the first scene, I'm just like, yeah, that's somebody I never want to deal with a day in my life. So why has the Empire abducted this ship? Well, because Princess Leia, who's one of the rebel leaders, she has stolen plans for the Empire's Death Star. The Death Star being this huge armored space station that has enough power to destroy an entire planet. She gives these plans to the 2 droids, C-3PO and R2-D2, and has them escape to Tatooine while she is captured by Darth Vader. So in the next scene, C-3PO and R2-D2 have officially arrived on Tatooine. And I gotta say, I love both of these characters, because they both, I feel, provide really good comic relief for this movie, especially C-3PO. Because he is probably the most paranoid thing you will ever see a day in your life. I mean, never seen. He's just always like, everyone, I have such a bad feeling about this. Like, if you consider yourself a really on-edge person, watch Star Wars and every scene with C-3PO and it will make you feel so much better about yourself. So after arriving on the planet, the 2 are eventually captured by Jawas, who are these little scavengers who eventually sell them both to Luke Skywalker. He's this young farmer, but he's also this really good pilot who hopes to join the rebellion. However, his aunt and uncle who he lives with, they don't want him to join the rebellion because his uncle in particular is worried that if he does, it's going to have him turn out like his father did. Which leaves you wondering at the time, wait, what exactly does he mean by that? So eventually Luke discovers that the message that Princess Leia put into R2-D2 is meant for someone named Obi-Wan Kenobi. They eventually do find him. He's this really old hermit who eventually brings the 3 of them back to his home so they can, figure out what this message really is. And the message basically reveals that Leia has found this really crucial information that could lead to a huge victory for the rebels over the Empire that need to be brought back to her home planet Alderaan immediately. And here we also learn a little bit more about Obi-Wan's backstory as well. He tells Luke that he used to be a Jedi Knight along with Luke's father, Anakin Skywalker. During this, he gives Luke his father's old lightsaber, while also explaining to Luke that a Jedi gets their power from the Force, which is basically this giant energy field that binds everyone in the galaxy and the galaxy itself together. But he also explains that there is a dark side of the Force that eventually corrupted one of Obi-Wan's pupils, who eventually became Darth Vader. And according to Obi-Wan, Darth Vader betrayed Luke's father and killed him while becoming the Dark Lord of the Sith and contributed to wiping out almost every Jedi in existence. And because Obi-Wan is now, this really old man, he really tries to persuade Luke to, come with him on this mission, learn to become a Jedi and help defeat the Empire. At first, Luke refuses to go because he feels he just shouldn't abandon his aunt and uncle here on Tatooine. Until Luke discovers that the stormtroopers have tracked the 2 droids to Tatooine and have destroyed his home and also tragically murdered his aunt and uncle. So now with nothing left for him on Tatooine, Luke agrees to go. But first, the group needs to find a pilot who can get them to Alderaan. So they go to Mos Eisley to find one, but on the way there, they get pulled over by the stormtroopers who are trying to ask about the two droids. And here is where Obi-Wan gives Luke his first demonstration of the power of the Force. He uses the Jedi mind trick on them, pulling the whole, these are not the droids you're looking for. It works and they're able to pass through with no problems whatsoever. If only getting pulled over by a cop was that easy. Now, Mos Eisley isn't exactly the place you want to find yourself in the Star Wars universe. It's full with a bunch of criminals and lowlifes who are just the kind of people you just do not want to be involved with at all. In one instance, this one guy tried to pull a gun on Obi-Wan for basically no reason whatsoever. But Obi-Wan just whips out his lightsaber and just slashes the guy's arm just straight off. Funniest part though is when all this happened, everyone was basically like, oh, did the guy just lose his arm? Whatever. So I guess that's just happening on a regular basis. So now Obi-Wan and Luke meet the crew members of the ship the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo and the Wookiee Chewbacca. And Han Solo is not only my favorite character in the Star Wars saga, but he is one of my favorite characters of all time. This guy is funny as hell, he's really sarcastic with everyone around him, and he just does not take shit from anybody. I love characters like that. He agrees to take them to Alderaan in order to get money to pay off this Jabba the Hutt that's apparently after him. But before he can leave to go with them, Han Solo gets stalked by the bounty hunter Greedo. Greedo's intent is to capture Han Solo and bring him back to Jabba the Hutt because Jabba the Hutt has put a price on Han Solo's head. And to further solidify Han Solo as an absolute boss, before Greedo can shoot him, Han pulls out his gun and just blows Greedo away from under the table. Greedo didn't shoot first. I don't care what the remastered version says. And after just barely escaping the stormtroopers who are after the droids, the group are able to make their escape in the Millennium Falcon and start heading to Alderaan. But there's a slight problem. Because Leia has refused to give any location regarding the rebels' location, Darth Vader and his commanding officer, Grand Moff Tarkin, are now threatening Leia to use the Death Star to destroy her planet Alderaan in front of her. And even after Leia reveals the rebels' location is on the planet Dantooine, Grand Moff Tarkin, like the truly evil dick that he is, proceeds to destroy Alderaan. Now when the heroes on the Millennium Falcon arrive at what Alderaan is supposed to be, they discover it's just been reduced to a giant asteroid field, and as a result, they are now sucked into the Death Star by its tractor beam. Luckily, however, Luke and Han are able to take out two of the stormtroopers, steal their armor, and proceed to rescue the princess, while Obi-Wan goes out to destroy the tractor beam generator on the Death Star so they can escape. And through taking out a bunch of different stormtroopers, the group is able to rescue Princess Leia. But they're still not quite home free yet. They had to escape the stormtroopers through a garbage compactor who walls to start closing in on them to crush them. However, in just the nick of time, C-3PO and R2-D2 are able to shut down the compactor and the group is able to escape and head back to the Falcon. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan has also been able to shut down the tractor beam generator, but before he can get back to the Falcon, Darth Vader is there with his lightsaber drawn, ready to confront his old master. Obi-Wan then draws his lightsaber, and now the battle begins between these two. And this scene is just so awesome and so monumental. I love that it's a student versus master situation, and I love that during the fight the two are trying to exploit each other's weakness, but they can't really find any in each other. It really leaves you wondering who can and will win this duel, and I love suspense like that. However, the fight ends once Obi-Wan sees Luke preparing to board the Millennium Falcon, and ultimately Obi-Wan decides to withdraw his lightsaber and Darth Vader just slashes him down, which does hit you emotionally, but this scene also just shows what makes Obi-Wan so awesome. Because he knows that it doesn't necessarily matter if he can beat Darth Vader right here and right now. It's about what's best for the future of the galaxy and also for Luke himself so he can become the Jedi that he's destined to be. So now the heroes make it to Yavin 4, which happens to be the true location of the Rebel base. And now we finally find out what exactly these plans are that everyone has been after. And the plans reveal that the Death Star does in fact have one weakness. A small thermal exhaust port that's about 2 meters wide. If a fighter pilot can skim along this heavily guarded and very narrow trench and shoot maybe a torpedo or a missile through this very small opening, it will cause a chain reaction that will completely destroy the station and everyone on it. So now the Rebel pilots, which now includes Luke, they set off to destroy the Death Star. Han, however, now that he has his payment, he chooses to go pay off Jabba the Hutt rather than take part in this fight. And what I love about this is it's a very straightforward and very simple, but also very dramatic final conflict. Because what so many sci-fi movies and action movies try to do today is they try to cram too much into their final conflict in their movie. It just makes the endings of these movies feel a lot less focused and also really sloppy at times. In this case, it's completely focused and it's pure awesomeness. At first, it's really not going the Rebels' way because so many of them are getting taken out by TIE fighters. It gets to the point where Luke is one of the very few surviving pilots that are left. Darth Vader even personally goes into the fight as he can feel the Force is strong with Luke, and now he's in pursuit of him. And just as Luke is about to get taken out by Darth Vader and 2 other TIE fighters, the TIE fighters get taken out and Darth Vader is sent spiraling out of the Death Star. Han Solo came back to help. That just shows that deep down, even if he will not admit it, that Han Solo really does care. He just risked his life to save Luke's and essentially to help save the galaxy. It really brings out how much Han Solo has grown in just this movie alone. That's what awesome character development is. So now Luke has to take out the Death Star and he now has the opening that he needs. However, he's deciding not to use his targeting system. He hears the spirit of Obi-Wan tell him to use the Force to help him fire the torpedoes to destroy the Death Star, because it goes back to what Obi-Wan taught him earlier in the movie. Your eyes can deceive you, but through using the Force, you don't need your eyes because the Force will not fail you. And through that, Luke lands a direct hit into the Death Star, which blows up, killing Grand Moff Tarkin and most of the senior Imperial staff with it, just seconds before the Death Star could destroy the Rebel base. So after that, an award ceremony is held, and for their heroic acts, Luke and Han are both awarded medals by Princess Leia, and that's where the movie ends. Like I said, Star Wars is just one of the most iconic and monumental movies to ever hit the big screen. The characters are so memorable, the story is great, the action is awesome. I mean, are the visuals clearly dated and not as impressive as they were back then? Of course. But it doesn't change the fact that the visuals were so incredible back in that time. And like I said, this movie is almost 40 years old now. The special effects that are in this movie, nobody really thought would be possible back then. You gotta respect the movie for that. All of that just shows how revolutionary Star Wars is as a movie. Next movie, though, steps it up in every sense of the word. And don't worry, I'll do a video for that one soon. But for now, that's all I gotta say. So guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.